The world is full of your prayers. Now all we need is love. I used to wonder about the meaning of these words, and it was many years before I understood that for real change to come about in the world, we must know the meaning of love, of conscious love. We have to have the knowledge of love, the knowledge of God. For God is love. And yet without knowledge, how can we actually know this? The Sheikh said, all we need is love. In countries where everyone begins their search already having accepted completely the unity of God, the need for real knowledge is understood. For real knowledge, that is understood. But here in the Western world, where so much has been forgotten in man's greed and ignorance, in his incessant search for money and power, people talk about love in such a vague way that it means almost nothing. Here we talk about love, and yet we continue to walk the streets like sleepwalkers, hardly ever waking up to the real world, which is a world of love. But it is a world in which lies the knowledge of love, of pure light and perfect order. It is not a world of chaos, as we see ours is today. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "Woe unto him who suffers himself to be betrayed by fate. Woe unto him who suffers himself to be betrayed by fate." Yet mankind accepts this fate with its ebb and tide as a birthright and as an opportunity for self-satisfaction without any obligation in return. We have an inherent obligation in being born, and that is to work in order to know ourselves. We find the real world through the understanding of our responsibility in being born man and woman. The response that comes out of the greater will of God. Real change is necessary in our world, not just the apparency of change. But for real change to come about, the love we talk about so glibly must become conscious love. We must learn to love consciously, and that means that we must know who and what we are. How can I or you say that we love if we do not know who we are? Who is making the statement? We use the word I, but we do not know that the moment we say I love, I love, I love, we bring into play a force which has its own job to do in the universe, regardless of ours. And it is lucky if we do not get hurt in the process. This force of which I speak is the greatest force there is. It comes to help us if we understand it, but it may burn us if we fail to recognize it. Do you remember the old saying, "Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned"? A woman scorned is a woman who is not recognized for what she is. And sooner or later, the frustration and suppressed anger within her is liable to blow, to burst out shouting, "Look, look at me, you idiots! For God's sake, look! I can give you everything, yet you will not see me. You will not recognize me.
What is a woman? Where are her roots? To me, woman grows from the middle. She is like a seed which has landed on the surface of the ground. Not only does it put out a shaky tendril to the light, but it must also grow downward to rediscover its sustenance in the earth, to anchor its foundation in that which will harbor its life and growth, one part burrowing into substance, that the other might live in the air and the light. We almost need to relearn this instinctive growth. Western woman has become at times so cerebral that she has forgotten or rejects or resents these roots in the rhythms of life. She has often lost touch with the great nurturing and feminine principle of the earth itself. What more is there? Beyond sentimentality, there is the continuous nurturing of hope and faith in man's completion. Without it, what child could grow? A great Sufi mystic once said, "In prayer, what woman is not a mother?" This hope I speak of is not naive or simple. It is the conviction in man's possibility and the courage to reaffirm it in every moment. From this sense of the completion of things has come both the adage that indeed woman is long-suffering, and paradoxically, her current frustration and anger at the present state of affairs. Too much is at stake. In the arts, woman has traditionally symbolized beauty, refinement, the receptive, the anima or muse to man's creative spirit. In the realm of the spirit, woman becomes the pure receptive. The feminine principle is expressed in the soul, completely refined. It is the receptive for the spirit and the agent through which it flows into the world. What is woman? In the East, she has been worshipped and symbolized in the mother, in wisdom, and in the life force or Shakti. Who is she now? In the West, there are the beginnings of a possibility for woman to incorporate all the elements of her ancient soul and her potential.
When we say, I love, whatever that I is, that great force which wishes to help us comes instantaneously into play, and for a while it is possible that things will seem easy for us. But without knowledge of that force, sooner or later, in its desire for recognition, which ultimately leads to redemption, it is liable to turn around and woe betide us if we are not in control, not awake, not conscious. Yet there is a paradox in all these things. You see, it is not possible to know who and what we are, and therefore have the possibility of the knowledge of the love of God, the possibility of the knowledge of the love of God with the mind. The mind cannot do these things. The mind cannot understand what I'm talking about. The mind is not capable of understanding unity, and God is one. The mind lives only through comparison. Comparison is both its food and its motivation. The mind must compare if it is to exist at all. But in the real world, the world of love and order, there is no comparison. And thus there is no fighting, no ignorance, no disharmony. There is peace in perfect order. There is peace in knowledge. There is peace in knowledge. For if you consider it, nothing else is satisfactory in the end. So how can we come upon the knowledge of which I speak, if not with mind and discursive reasoning? Is there a way we may find which will lead us ultimately to our goal, the making of a new world here on earth? Yes, there is a way. It is the path of service and surrender. It is the path of sacrifice. To come upon what is called the way that leads to freedom in fulfilling our obligation in being born here on planet Earth, it is necessary that we give up all the concepts that we had previously held as to what we thought we were, or what we felt we wanted, or what we felt we needed. We have to give up all ideas of self-development or spiritual attainment. We have to break our concepts on the stone of truth once and for all. No, on the path of service there is nothing to be gained for us. Us. What we thought we were when we started to search for our true identity. There is nothing in it for us at all. For we have to go on surrendering to the will of God every moment of our lives. To give up all that we had considered to be real, so that little by little the illusions are dissolved away, and what remains is the knowledge of our essential unity with God. From the tradition in which I come from, it is what the Sufis call fana and baka. Fana, the dissolving, the melting of that which is transient, and baka, the remaining of the permanent I, which is no more separate from God. With each moment of surrender, that which can lead us astray is redeemed into eternity. And what remains is the order that must be brought into our world. With each moment of surrender, that which can lead us astray is redeemed into eternity. And what remains is the order that must be brought into our world. This order can lead the world out of chaos into a new age, the second cycle of mankind, in which men and women will once more live upon the earth in the knowledge of the meaning of love, for they will have become real human beings at last. God-conscious men and women, awake all the time to the real world, participating consciously in what we call the divine plan. They will have become conscious lovers, for they will know at last the meaning of love. No, love without knowledge is not enough. love without knowledge, it is not enough. We must see the knowledge beyond the mind that bursts through us as a flash of insight, burning out the illusions in our yearning to know the truth. We are asked to come upon this knowledge, not by seeing it elsewhere, not by chasing moonbeams, but by surrendering our own lives totally to a life of service to God. Then, and as I see it, only then, can we fulfill our responsibility in being born on this planet. Only then can we in truth say, I am, I am, I am. If I could say, the patron behind my words, I do not really know what words I can use, but if I could say the word Mevlana, which means master or my master. When I say Mevlana Jalaluddin Rumi, I talk about a link between this vehicle, this human being, and the relative existence state, and in his yearning towards complete union with God. Mevlana, who reached union 700 years ago, has become for me at last, a link. The great Persian Sufi, the 12th century, and he once said these words. I have these words written above my desk, and I read them many, many times a day. Reason is powerless in the expression of love. Reason is powerless in the expression of love. Love alone is capable of revealing the truth of love and of being a lover. The way of our prophets is the way of truth. If you want to live, die in love. Die in love. If you want to remain alive.